Good day, champion. I'm Dr. Renee Fowler, and I am a comeback champion. Today, I am going to be sharing with you how it is that you can make a comeback. I believe, as you'll learn today, that it is the mental game that counts after a setback. That's right, that's what I said. It is the mental game that counts after a setback. You know, the truth of the matter is that each and every one of us really desire to be the best version of ourselves. And most of us spend our entire life, I don't know about you, but I've spent my entire life in pursuit of my best self. We all are striving daily for our best and highest potential. But the truth is that many of us are challenged with really the question of how do I really get there? How do I get to the dream? How do I get to the vision? How do I really get to the goal? That is a question that so many people ask, yet the answer seems to elude even the best of us. But the one key principle in this pursuit of reaching our best self or our highest potential is that it all starts with a thought. It all starts with that thought of the dream or the vision. In 1902, James Allen penned these words: "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." By the way, that's also found in the Bible. But what he was trying to get us to understand is that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, not only embraces the whole of a man's being, but it is so comprehensive as to reach to every condition and circumstance of his life. And so he lets us know that a man is literally what he thinks, that his character is the complete sum of all his thoughts. So if we look at that, we could say that we all could think of a thought as an activity. Dr. Carolyn Leaf says in her book, Switch on Your Brain, as we think, we literally change the physical nature of our brain. As we consciously direct our thinking, we can wire our toxic patterns of thinking and replace them with healthy thoughts. So all of this lets us know that having the right mindset is crucial when it comes to your personal growth, your achievement, and your success. It is so vitally important. It is really about us becoming aware of who we are and the things that we think about ourselves. And we have to visit what it is that we're thinking, because the truth is that a lot of times our thoughts get us stuck. We have to recognize the bad habits or the obstacles that are in our way. We have to make certain that we have defined our value in a positive way so that we can become the person that we want to be able to live the life that we each deserve, so that we ultimately can make an impact on the world. However, there is one thing that I found about life, that a lot of us, myself included, often do not consider what it is that we are to do when in the middle of us living our life and reaching our highest potential, that problems, trauma, troubles, failures, or setbacks interrupt what we've created. And it's something that we need to give thought to. See, we spend an enormous amount of time in search of pursuing greatness. Why are we so unprepared when the game plan that we created for our life does not work? Well, that's something that I know well. You see, 16 years ago, I was on top of the world and I felt like I was winning at everything. I was a champion in life, in confidence. I was a champion in business. I was a champion in writing and speaking, and I felt like I was a champion in marriage, well, or so I thought, but I knew I was a champion in parenting and so much more. And then it seemed like absolutely overnight, it all came crashing down. And there I was, faced with a real life scandal. Going to bed one night, awakening the next. And when I awakened, it seemed as though my entire game plan for life was absolutely useless. Everything that I had penned, my game plan, my strategy, just gone overnight. So there I was, faced with an upset, faced with a setback, faced with a loss, embarrassed, humiliated, ashamed. Have you ever thought you were winning, and then it seemed like out of nowhere that somehow you lost? I don't know about you, but that can be a very traumatic experience, to think one day that you're winning and the next day to know that you've lost. When I was a little girl, I played softball from the ages of 9 to 18. And I can remember one game and we were winning. And so we probably were a little cocky, and we probably perhaps got a little lax, and we probably were playing a little bit sloppy, and I think we were at the last inning, and seemingly out of nowhere, they put up a person to bat, and we had no concerns about her hitting a home run. In fact, the truth be told, we didn't even think that she would get on base. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, guess what? She hit a home run. Guess what? She did it when the bases were loaded, and she cleared the bases. Oh my God. And so they ended up winning. Can you imagine the shock and the devastation? That moment for us took us out of the playoffs, meaning that we would not be able to compete for the championship that we thought we had wrapped up. Well, have you ever felt that way in life? Have you ever felt that way in business, in your relationship? I want to ask you a personal question. If you've ever felt that way, what do you do when you experience a setback, or when trouble comes, or when loss comes, or when life just happens? What do you really do? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I want to share with you today what you must do. You have to tweak the game plan. Remember what I said about thoughts. Thoughts are actions. And so if your life has taken an unexpected turn or twist, what actions could you take at this very moment, after your failure, after your trauma, after your setback? What could you do right now in this moment that would change your circumstances and get you back on course? See, the thing of it is, if you choose to do nothing, you'll stay stuck. You'll stay where you are. So I want you to think differently about your mental game. If after a setback you think you can't, guess what? You won't. If after a defeat, a disappointment, or a divorce, what if you just quit? You'll never enjoy the pleasure of winning again. If you allow fear to overtake you, you will never have the faith to believe again. So when we look at life, actually look at life like it's a game of life, I can honestly say that in this game of life, it's a mental game that counts after a setback. Proverbs 23:7 is where it says, a man thinks As a man thinks, as a man thinks, as a man thinks. I want you to get that. As a man thinks, so is he. Letting us know that what we think about matters, because it really forms the basis of who we are and who we are to become. So here's the deal. You got to understand something. You were born for greatness. You were born to be more than a conqueror. You were born to be a champion. And I believe once a champion, always a champion. You want to know what a champion really is? A champion is a game changer. A champion is a competitor with relentless will, meaning they're not going to give up. They're not going to quit. Champions are radical. They are disruptive, and it's usually in a positive way, but they change the way that something is done, thought about, or made. And that's how you were created. You were created as a champion, to have these mental, tough thoughts and toughness, and to have an unwavering attitude so that you'd be able to succeed and to fulfill purpose. And so champions work when others don't and make a habit out of being self-disciplined. And so if life has hit you in a way that was unexpected, if your life has been interrupted in a way that you did not plan for, having the right mindset is crucial when it comes to your personal growth, achievement, and success. So in life, when you experience a setback, and things will happen, you have to know that you can overcome struggles and problems when they crop up in your life. And the way that you do it is by developing a strong and healthy mindset. Or you can simply give in. You can give up. Or you can get stuck and throw in the towel. But look, this is what I want you to understand. The way that you face trauma, troubles, calamity, or problems is important. And facing problems with an unhealthy mindset is only going to make things a lot more difficult for you to recover. So when my life shifted years ago, I got stuck. I could not figure it out. Again, in your life, in your relationships, have you ever had that happen? I know that I did, and I found myself trying to fit into whatever the culture or the people were saying. I was trying to do the latest and the greatest. I was trying to find a place where I could settle myself. But really what I was doing is I was just kind of falling into a pattern of just being even more stuck, because the truth is that each of us have this ability where the Creator gave us the ability to be able to create a space that only we can occupy. And so one day, I was talking with my counselor, and he said these words to me. He said, "You are already who you were before the trauma." And it was like a light bulb went off. And I began for the first time to realize that I had been stuck, that I had given in to the trauma, that I had really truly quit. And it was my mental capacity that was blocking me moving. It was my mental capacity that had paralyzed me and caused me to no longer be the game changer that I knew that I was called to be. I was stuck, but in that moment when he said those words, a light bulb went off. I want you to think for a moment. Who were you before and you can fill in the blank. Who were you before the layoff? Who were you before the divorce? Who were you before the bankruptcy or the disappointment or the fear or the addiction? Who were you before? Because who you were before is still who you are today. And so many of us define ourselves by our situations and our circumstances. And that is really a mental block for us not being able to move forward. See, even before the beginning of time, you were a champion. Jeremiah 1:5 says it this way. It's a message to us from our Creator. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew all about you. And before you drew your first breath, I had already chosen you. So you were chosen to accomplish a specific task. Dr. Miles Monroe always said, if you want to know the purpose of a thing, go back to the creator of a thing. So I went back to the source and I thought, as a man thinks, so is he. If thought is an action, it's time for you to take action. That's what I did. I went back to the source and I thought to myself, it's time for me to take action. That was my defining moment. It was actually the moment, as Dr. Leaf says, I switched on my brain. Remember, she said that we can consciously direct our thinking, that we can wire out toxic patterns of thinking and replace them with healthy thoughts. So it's really the mental game that counts after a setback. When you go back to who you were before, the dreamer, the visionary, the producer, the champion, you begin to start thinking differently. That's why we have to develop a mindset to understand that we were always a champion. And when life hits us and we seem like we're out of the game, we have to go back and take action and develop the mindset of a comeback champion. Because when you do that, it actually assists you in thinking about life in a totally different way. So today, guess what? Is your new start. Today, guess what? Is your new beginning. Let me give you just a few key points very quickly so that you can set out on a journey to be victorious, so that you can gather the big win, because it does matter what you think. So the first thing you got to do is tweak your mindset, reframe your beliefs and your perceptions. Remember, personal growth is all about change. So become aware of who you really are. Think about all the things that are hindering you. Change your perception about the setback. Don't think like a sore loser. Don't let it take you out of the game. Learn to value the lessons, because even an imperfect record builds skills and develops character. So how you get back up from the setback is important. How you prepare for the next win is important. So let me give you these 7 R's to tweaking your mental game for you to get clarity. The first thing you need to do is reflect on all the misplays and opportunities, or in other words, I like to say it this way: what could I have done differently, or what could I have done better? It starts with you assessing where you are, reflecting on your life. The next R is that you have to rehab. This is the important part. Rehab any injuries. If you look at an athlete, if they go through a catastrophic injury, they have to go through rehab. So be willing to get the help and the resources that you need so that you can confront your fears and insecurities, so that you can get beyond that mental breakdown and have a breakthrough. After you do that, the next one is you have to reposition yourself. That means you have to change your approach to everything about the game you're playing in reference to the problem. And you have to learn how to self-motivate with positive affirmations. I want you right now to find your favorite affirmation and take 5 minutes over the next 5 days and confess that affirmation, because you got to know and start taking the steps now so that you can make a shift in your life. Then you have to revise the game plan. Revising the game plan can lead you to a win. That's what I've got right here. You saw me tear the other one up, but I got my revised game plan. I intend to win. And let me tell you, every little step, every winning step leads to the championship. So you got to reclaim your victory with a new mindset and a stronger game plan, goals, or attitude. And then guess what? Number 7 is you got to repeat. So what am I saying to you today? How you think is important. What am I saying to you today? that starting today, you can revise your mental game plan. It's up to you what you must do. Susan Taylor, one of the speakers that I had years ago at one of my conferences, said this: thoughts have power. Thoughts are energy, and you can make your world or break it by your own thinking. So be willing to do the work. Be self-aware. Build that mental strength. Make up in your mind that you're never going to give up and push through. Make certain that you've got the right people on your team. It's important who's on your team. Every championship team needs a championship team. So you got to be the right player. You got to come in with the right angle, being coachable and teachable and trainable. Who is your trainer? Who is your coach? Even the referees that God sends to your life, they're there for a reason. So I ask you this: are you ready to make a comeback? Are you ready to be that comeback champion? Build what you need to build. Tweak that game plan. Adjust in life. Because the coin toss is about to be made. Hey, heads or tails, you tell me. It's up to you. Line up the best players on your team. Call the plays right. Execute the game plan. Put in the work. Make the necessary adjustments. Watch the game clock. Study the film. And then always repeat. So today, I leave you with this. It's a mental game that counts after a setback. It is my hope that you will get back in the game. It is my hope that you will be willing to play even if you don't feel like suiting up. It is my hope that you will be willing to rediscover the champion in you. Pat Riley said it this way: there's always the motivation of wanting to win. Everybody has that. But a champion needs in his attitude a motivation above and beyond winning. So are you ready to make a comeback after a setback? Are you ready to become that comeback champion? Then let's tweak the game plan. Now, this is what I want to ask you to do. If that is you, I want you to join me on my upcoming training, working with you to help you to develop that mental toughness. If that is you, I want you to go to my website, reneedenise.life. reneedenise.life. Why .life? Because in this big game of life, we should be winning, and it's all about how you're living. And in this life, we want to win big. So I invite you to go to my website. You'll be able to download some materials there. You'll be able to sign up for that training, because together, we're going to make a comeback. So join me, and let's win. I'm Dr. Renee Denise Fowler, and I am a comeback champion.